Welcome to another Popcorn People podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valera. On today's episode, we have an incredible one for you, exciting to talk about two movies that came out this weekend in theaters. Yes, there's actually more movies in theaters other than Oppenheimer and Barbie, but on today's episode, we're going to dive into Haunted Mansions, Talk to Me. We're going to give our instant reactions to the Exorcist Believer trailer. As always, I'm joined by my partner here, Mr. Don Fisher. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, man, you already know who it is. It's the one and only Dom, brother. No, I'm good, man. I'm preparing for my for SummerSlam, man. Like I've been trying to slowly get back into wrestling. It's not what it once was from what I grew up loving, but some of these storylines are really good.
They're fun, man. It's
yeah.
I'm actually going to AEW next week.
Okay.
No, not the week after. It's going to be at the Bridgestone. I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not the way it was, but there's certain elements to it that I'm digging again. You know what I mean? Like I see a lot of it on like TikTok. You see some promos or something and stuff like that. It's fun, man. Wrestling's fun. You know what I mean? It's fun to watch. It's easy to watch. It's a nice little escape. So
for sure.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a SummerSlam breakdown episode. You know what I mean? Like who knows? You know what I'm saying? Just two guys just screwing around talking about random stuff. Yeah. So it's been, other than people continuously talking about Barbie Hammer, which has just really kind of gotten old to me. Like I love both movies quite a bit, but I'm just kind of over it a little bit at the same time. But other than that, it's been quite a slow week. Obviously, well, actually, to be honest with you, the biggest news of the week was like the movies moving. There's a lot of movies moving. Craven is now coming out in 2024. It was one of the many movies from Sony. Sony was the first studio to kind of put into action some of the movement. Now, I will say this. A lot of people have been like blaming the strike, which, again, we hear 1,000%, pay your writers, pay your actors, pay your directors, pay everybody fair share across the board. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse was one of the films that they said was supposed to initially release in March 29th, 2024. I don't ever believe that was going to happen.
No.
Regardless of the strike. So while I do think that they can use that, like people have been using all the rest of these 1,000% have been moved because of the strike. Craven, that's a film that they want people to promote. They want their actors to promote. And that's the biggest thing. I think that's what people need to understand about the strike is it's about getting the actors in front of interviews, red carpet premieres, all of those things. So I also feel like Craven's probably not very good, but that's
right.
But it's shifting out of August 30th, 2024, and now it's going to shifting to August 30th, 2024 after supposedly be released in October of this year. Karate Kid reboot, which I didn't even know was a thing.
I didn't either.
Which is supposed to come out on June 7th of 2024 is now moved to December 13th, 2024. It can't be any worse than the last Karate Kid remake that they did. Let's see here. Madam Web moved up 2 days. And then Venom 3 is received a release date of July 12th, 2024, which now comes out before Craven does, which is weird. But
yeah.
And then, of course, the one thing that I was very excited about was Bad Boys 4 is set to come out in June of 2024.
I saw that. And I have seen what they've been trying to do with, I think, the Meg 2, I believe. They pushed the date back just like a week or two. That way they can have more screenings and allow all the fans that go see the screenings to promote the movie essentially for them. So it's a weird, like, diabolical game, because if it does in fact work that way for them, they'll be like, oh, we don't need you as much as we thought we did. It's scary, man, that the landscape can morph this quickly, possibly.
Yeah, because the thing about it is the studios don't seem to be budging. They're not going back to the table right now, so it's kind of scary. We're in a very scary space. Journalism already is something that is looking at as an afterthought, and as critics, it's kind of scary to think about that. This space is already hard for underlooked at critics like ourselves that are grinding each and every day, and it's like that wish that we could work full time in this industry, but as stuff like this happens, COVID cut journalism in half budget wise, and now with this, who knows what this is going to do. Freelance work is not going to be the same currently. Movies aren't coming out, so then that's less money that you can try to get freelance money off work. It's just an all-around disaster. But at the end of the day, studios could just do the right thing and pay the writers and pay their actors. But
yeah, the money is there. They can easily do it. They just don't want to. Simple and plain.
Is probably gonna make $600-700 million off Barbie. So
yeah,
I mean, take a little bit of that bread and break it off accordingly. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. That being said, we're gonna transition into our first segment of the week.
Yeah, you already know. Trailer of the week. This week is The Exorcist Believer. That dropped, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. Kind of out of nowhere. I didn't really know where that it was being made, but a quick little rundown. When his daughter Angela and her friend Catherine show signs of demonic possession, it unleashes a chain of events that forces single father Victor Fielding to confront the nadir of evil. Terrified and desperate, he seeks out Chris McNeil, the only person alive who's witnessed anything like it before. So this is a direct sequel, 50 years later, to the original Exorcist. What were your thoughts on Exorcist Believer?
All right. So first things first, this comes from David Gordon Green. He's one of the screenwriters of this, along with Danny McBride, Scott Teems, just that whole crew of McBride, which I love Danny McBride. But
yeah.
Okay, look, David Gordon Green should not direct horror movies or write horror movies. The Halloween trilogy was a disaster. The first one was good. The last two were god awful. Like some of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire existence. Like they were that bad. You know what I mean? Exactly. But first, before we talk about the trailer, can we talk about the cast? Like, it's so weird. Like, I understand Ellen Burstyn's in this. I get why. But Ann Dowd, Leslie Odom Jr., why is this cast so, like, the top heavy, so good? And it doesn't make any sense to me for this being this shitty of a movie. But then you watch the trailer. The trailer is god awful. To me, I hated it. I thought it was stupid. And the problem I think I had with this is I feel like I've seen this movie 150 times. The trailer brought nothing new to the table of nothing that I haven't already seen. I think that Jonah Hill in This Is the End, when he was possessed and all of that, was more believable than this little girl in this trailer was. I don't understand. Will I see it? Absolutely. We're stupid. We watch everything. But, like, and by the way, when did the girl from, that country music band, she's like acting now? I didn't. Is Jennifer? Oh, she plays the only thing that she's ever Jennifer Nettles. The only thing that she's I get why she's in this now. Why she's in this because she has a relationship with Danny McBride because of Righteous Gemstones, which is the best show on TV right now. It's hilarious. She plays the dead mother in the show, which is great. But that makes sense of why she's in this. But I don't know. It's a disaster. What did you think?
No, I mean, so I'm not.
You're more of a horror guy. You're more of a horror guy.
Yeah, I'm a horror guy, but I'm not a huge fan of exorcism movies, really. Because once you, like you kind of said, once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. You can only add so much and change the story so much because if you didn't know, most of the exorcism films and books are based off one exorcism, almost all of them after just one. But this one, I mean, for me, finally seeing like some of it happen in broad daylight where one of the girls walking down the church aisle, and I really enjoyed like these people who, it's kind of one of those ones where if you don't believe, you do believe is right in your face and you have to confront that. and there being two of them that are possessed, I feel like that's kind of messy. It's harder to do, but I guess that makes it, at least so far in the trailer, it makes it look like they're always together, which might make it easier. Like they're those two best friends who are inseparable. But do I want to see it? Maybe it looks kind of cool, but it's an exorcism movie. I'm on the fence. I've witnessed ghosts in a house. I've never witnessed anybody being possessed by anything, and that's not something that scares me. Like that's the one thing for me when it comes to things like that, is that none of it is ever scary to me. It's interesting that if this has happened, wow, that's crazy and it's cool. And they're talking about different cultures have their way of handling possessions. So I'm looking for a good explanation, a good story. Hopefully we get it. But when it comes to a scare factor for myself, it's like a one. Like even I don't even know if it's that. Because I feel like if I saw it in person, I'd just be like, bet, cool.
Like, exactly, man.
I don't know. But Leslie is proven.
I love Leslie.
He's so
fucking better, man. He's better. Somebody hire this man. Like, get him out of these god awful movies. Like, please hire this man. Like, I don't understand why we haven't got the Sam Cooke. He needs a whole movie of his own there. But
yeah, I mean, I guess my expectation level, if I was to pre-rate the film, is probably I'd say it's gonna be at least a solid 6.
6?
Yeah, out of 10. But
out of 100?
But they can severely mess this up. It's very easy to make a movie like this and completely jack it up. So
did you like Halloween Ends and Kills?
I liked them for the fun factor. It wasn't like, man, this is the best one out of the top of my list. I think there was.
I want to know who wrote Evil Dies Tonight, because that man deserves to die. It's literally the most recent one was the most idiotic movie I've ever witnessed in my entire. I don't know. I got a buddy of mine. You know what? Speaking of which, I got my Joey Sasso swears by that trilogy. He loves it a whole lot. And I'm going to send him the clip of this whenever I'm done. I'm going to send him a clip and just tell him how much I hate. Was it Halloween Ends? That's the most recent one. Halloween Kills, Ends.
Yeah, Ends.
The second and third of David Gordon Green's trilogy were god awful. Period. End of story.
I just hate with those. I just hate I hate when it's called Ends and then you leave it open ended. Like, is it? It's end it, bro. Like, end it, okay. It's called.
We got a whole brand new Michael Myers that's going to be on the horizon, but it's Ends. God bless America. Speaking of it, let's talk about some movies that we saw, an actual good horror movie. That's actually the perfect beat for this week's episode. You know what I mean? So we're going to break down 2 movies this week for you guys that we saw. One of which I saw at the beginning of this year. I'm dying to re-see it again because I just wanted to get that theatrical experience with it. But it's talk to me when a group of friends discover how conjuring spirits using an embled hand. They become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far, unleashing a terrifying supernatural forces. Dom, I'm going to let you kick us off with your thoughts on Talk to Me.
So the first thing I remember was I saw the directors, I believe the brothers, and I saw them talking, and I was like, man, they look familiar to me, and they're YouTubers. Or they were popular on YouTube. And I remember when they were talking about making a feature-length film like 3-4 years ago. And I'm sure the pandemic slowed things down. But this is after Bodies gave us kind of this like fresh horror thing to play with. And you have this game. That's what at first I thought this movie was going. It felt almost too lively at the beginning. Not in a bad way, but just like, this is like kind of turned up right now. And boy, does this movie take a very dark turn, and in the most like creative way. Because normally when we see films that deal with a Ouija board or deals with some kind of haunted doll or emblem, or you're trying to reach other forces, it's too hard. It takes too long to see what you want to see. And this movie gives it to us very quickly and in a very jarring manner. I mean, it looks great. I was in a packed theater. I think it was last week, and I mean, I've seen people jumping and shaking, and I enjoyed it. This is a movie that's right up my alley. I am a big horror fan, and I don't necessarily get scared, but I look for the creative ways that you can make something scary for other people. And people are afraid of spirits and spirituality and the other side because you don't know. And I, I almost wish that this was real. I ain't gonna lie, I would try it. All I gotta give them is like less than 90 seconds. Bet I got you. I'm trying to see, but I mean, for me, I couldn't almost put a point on exact point of what the movie was trying to say. Like it's a deeper meaning because horror films usually have something a little deeper that they're trying to say with the story. To me, it felt like, along with grief, it felt like addiction. I don't know if there's an addiction problem in Australia where the filmmakers are from, but that's what it felt like to me. With especially as they go on these trips and their eyes look sunken and they can't get enough of doing it. It has a lot of things to say. It's definitely one that leaves a lasting impression on you, and it's original. Like it could be, and you can argue that it's similar to a Ouija board, but it's not though. This is a fresh story, and that's what we've all been wanting is originality, and horror is bringing that. As the last couple of years, it's climbing the charts. So some of these you're not going to be able to keep them out of these award talks for very long, but this is definitely one of the best ones you're going to see this year.
So this is my thing. So I'll be honest on the surface. I'm not horror. Horror to me, you either get a great movie or you get a bad movie. I've never been one that I could find like an in between horror movie where I'm like, all right, that was okay.
Yeah.
This to me on paper, this movie is something that I would not like. Like it just would be stupid. It would. When I watch this movie, and you're right, I don't really get scared, and I wasn't scared, but I was creeped the fuck out. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I was never scared, like jump scare me. And that's the thing. One thing, it earned its jump scares. It earned them. You know what I mean? It's one of the most creative uses of something. I think that it also plays on the TikTok social media thing of this trend. Everybody needed to do this trend because they wanted to be on social media. They wanted to live through this hand, and they wanted to see what it was like and have to post the videos because they were always videoing it. You know what I mean? Like it's that trend of everybody trying to repeatedly do this. And you can't help to see the reflection of yourself. As a teenager, I 1000% would have done it. As a 37-year-old man, I would 1000% do it. You know what I mean? There's no in between here for me. Look, I think the writers play off the viewers' minds of understanding of what we would do in these scenarios, and I love that. I love the interpretation of the addiction part of it. I didn't think about that. Like you're looking there every time you grab it, you get that high, right? And that you can't get that high off anything else. So you keep coming back to it, and it's crazy to me. And then Sophia Wilde, holy shit!
I know
performance. Like to me is like something award worthy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it should be Oscar. No, I'm just saying it should be in the conversation at least because the performance in and out of it is just like holy shit. And you know the other thing is the makeup, the whatever one, the attention to detail, some of the eye-popping, creepy looking things that appeared, it was gross. And I'm not talking like gross as it, it's gross as it looks cool as shit. And to me, like I love this movie. I really just want to see it in a theater so badly. I saw it back at Sundance, and I knew, I wrote in my piece then, I knew it was going to be a hit. And when A24 grabbed it, I even had further faith that it was going to be a hit. They marketed this brilliantly. It's already made $10 million at the box office first weekend. The movie was made on $4.5 million already doubling its budget. I'm just so happy for it. You know what I mean? It's a great film. It deserves the love. It's truly such an incredible piece of film. I'm so excited people are enjoying it because it's great. I really loved it.
Yeah, this is definitely the one for the it's for this is Gen Z's. I don't know what to compare it to at the moment, but this is their one. This is like this and Bodies is like that's our horror film. This is what we is speaking to our generation and going forward. Like you said, with they want to go viral. They want these things to be seen. And I mean, right off the jump, like I said, it was lively, but then you get punched in the gut. You're like, oh, it's getting real, really fast.
Right, it gets deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and then I mean, just that journey throughout of like, you know, what's real, what's not real, you know, and the grieving and how far, if you have ever lost somebody, the lengths that you would go to try to see them again and believe things that even though you probably think that it's crazy, I want to see them that bad. And then just that whole montage of everyone taking a turn is like, oh shit, all right. And it goes from being like to oh, we messed up. Like yeah, I mean, this is one you're not gonna be able to get it out of your head for a while. It's done very well. I don't, and it's it's crazy this year. We keep seeing a lot of like new directors and their first features, and it's like these are their first films. Like, why have you guys not been letting people in the door? Because if this is what we're supposed to be getting from people, like holy shit.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like it's been a year just of incredible work. One after another. So speaking of movie, on the flip side of things, which I didn't expect to be as deep as it got, that's Haunted Mansions. It came out this weekend. I agree with everybody that everything that I've seen on Twitter, everybody's like, why did this movie come out this weekend? Why did this movie not come out in October, September? Haunted Mansions follows a single mom named Gabby hires a tour guide, a psychic, a priest, and a historian to exorcise her newly bought mansion after discovering it is inhabited by ghosts. The film stars Lakeith Stanfield, Rosario Dawson, Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, Danny DeVito, and a host of other individuals. So I'll kick it off here. My expectations for this film were just moderate. I wasn't really a huge fan of the original. This cast is loaded with people that I like. You know what I mean? So, and I felt like when you watch the film, each person that's representative kind of fits into the bubble of what I like about each of these characters, or each of these actors. But I'm going to be honest, I was kind of blown away by Katie Diploid's script. There's some things wrong with this film. It's not the perfect film. I'm not going to pretend that it's a perfect film, but the layers of grief that is explored within this film, it's crazy. Like it's when you kind of, you just are, I don't know. I was really shocked by it. I guess it's such a profound film that, you know, you're playing with grief and it's kind of playing with the toy and the idea that you talked about. Talk to me about the idea of trying to see that loved one again type of scenario. And I'm sorry, but Lakeith Stanfield is a star. He's a rock star. He should be a lead of films for years to come. I hate that this bombed because I feel like it'll be a reflection of him, and it shouldn't be a reflection of him. But his performance in this is incredible. I loved him. And there is some deep moments with him that really kind of hit home for you when you're watching it. Owen Wilson is Owen Wilson in this movie. I mean, he's the perfect sidekick. Tiffany Haddish, who can be very hit and miss in a lot of different films, I felt like she was utilized as the psychic in this to her truest potential. She was funny. She was charismatic in that way. Haddish can be very funny, period. And you give her an opportunity to be that unique funny, she does. She takes it and runs with it. So it's a little too long. It's a lot of too long, honestly. It's probably it should be an hour and 30-minute movie easily. This being 2 hours and like 2 minutes or whatever it was is ridiculous. But it was. I walked away impressed. I enjoyed Haunted Mansions. I thought it was a good film. What did you think?
Yeah, I think we both were like, after we walked out of the theater that, it doesn't recreate the whale or anything, but it's a solid film. And we all know that releasing films a lot of time to do well, especially when you don't market a movie at all, like this one, it's about timing. So yeah, they should have September, October, even an early November release date would have been way better. And from what I've understood too, like the movie does have a lot of nods to the ride. I've never been to Disneyland, so I have no clue, but I've heard it's exact. But yeah, this kind of takes me back. I've been once a week, once or twice a week. I've been going back and watching some of the movies we watched as a kid. That were because there's this whole narrative that's been going on over the past like 5 years of kids don't understand, or that's too adult for the kids, or that's too this for the kids, and we keep forgetting that we were kids. Like adults, we always forget that we were kids, and kids are smart. Kids can handle a lot of information. They can handle a lot of emotion. Yes, some things have to be explained, but that's why you accompany them to watch these things or watch it with them at home. So when you watch movies like even like Homeward Bound, you watch like The Mighty Ducks, these movies have heavy moments that have to be explained. And then you go forward and understand things like grief, and you understand things like losing a parent, losing a loved one, losing a mother, a father. And I'm my 11-year-old was with us when we saw this, and he enjoyed himself. And of course there's some things that he'll go, what does this mean? I explain it to him, he goes okay, and then we keep it rocking. So I that was one of the main things I saw where people were like, is this movie for kids? Yeah, if it's PG-13, that just means you go with them. Like, I'm sorry, like I don't know if people don't want a parent anymore, but like they can handle information as long as they're there with you to understand, to explain things to them. But yeah, I mean, like Keith, ever since there was that romance movie he did with Issa Rae, Photograph. That's when I was like, look, I already liked him before. Y'all need to give my boy more shots because he's doing it. And of course, with Sorry to Bother You, and every time you see him in Atlanta, you like, this dude steals the scenes. Like
He was awesome in The Harder They Fall. Like,
oh
he
my
stole
God.
a show.
Yes.
And of course Judas and the Black Messiah. And then, but my favorite performance of his is Widows.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Widows. Not Widows. I'm sorry, not him. I loved him in Knives Out. I love him in Knives Out. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, people need to recognize, man, like this dude is the truth. The only person I felt like was not out of place, but he didn't necessarily need to be in the film because of how they used him was Danny DeVito. I love Danny DeVito, but he just kind of felt like he's there for physical humor, but he wasn't really needed. But yeah, Tiffany.
Anybody else, really?
Yeah, Tiffany did great. I mean, I've always liked Tiffany Haddish, and I think that where people, the people that don't like her, or the reason they don't like her, or the reason why I do like her, is that she reminds me of people I know, and I'm like, yeah, that's like my aunt, or that's like my cousin.
Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. It's hilarious. But yeah, like you said, dealing with grief and trying to overcome this grief, you have a subplot of this, the son trying to find his way. He's trying to find his place amongst his friends and his peers, his classmates, because it is hard. And especially when, you're being yourself. He's being an individual. He's not trying to follow the crowd. And that's always the tougher road when you're growing up.
Dealing with that without a father, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trying to grow and be a man, you know what I mean? And try to find your spot without having that influential figure in your life is hard.
Yeah, and the film too. I mean, with the spooky aspects, it's perfectly that PG-13 level of like it's not going to scar you. It'll get you at first if you're a young one. And then once you really get to looking, you go, oh, it's not really like that nightmarishly scary, but it's a little spooky. So I think it's a fun little ride that like you really can't hate too much. You know, you're going to have your little nitpicky things, but like it's a solid film.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wanted to touch on a little bit about you said about for kids and stuff like that. Obviously, with the whole conversation around Barbie, I'm like PG-13 means PG-13. I mean,
Yeah.
there's elements of a movie that they're not going to understand. But I remember as a young kid, this movie came out when I was 8 years old called Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah.
Okay. This movie was the plot of this movie. Again, this is a PG rated film aimed towards kids' families. When a boy prays for a chance to have a family, this kid is a foster kid, prays for a chance to have a family with, if the California Angels win the pennant, the Angels are assigned to make it happen. This is a depressing ass fucking movie for any 8-year-old to be watching and to understand. But then at the same time, as a kid, you're like foster kids. Like that's not like films have been aimed at kids / adults. You can get both of those tones at the same time. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at Kazam.
Yeah.
He's with a single mom, wants to see his dad, sees his dad. Dad don't want him. That's heavy as shit. When we're watching that 7, 8, 9 years old, you're like, oh man, like
exactly. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop pretending. Let's stop underestimating the kids' brains. You know what I'm saying? They can process stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
God. But let's switch on over to some watch recommendations.
Oh yeah, what are we watching? I'll kick this off with a movie that I have always loved, and I recently just watched again because, as we all know, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is about to come out this week. So I go and I watch the original live action movie, and it's still is so good. I've seen that movie probably more than any movie I've ever seen when I was a kid. That's that one where my mom was getting like annoyed, like, why you always want to watch this? And it's still great. I did happen to see Mutant Mayhem yesterday, and I'm not going to say anything about it yet because we're going to cover it next week. But watching one of these older films to kind of get that nostalgia feel leading into this movie does kind of like boost it up a little bit. And plus the original just is so good. And then
such a banger, man. It's such a good movie. I literally just bought it on digital the other day just because I wanted to watch it.
So good. And the second one's so good. The third one, not so much. But the first two, oh my God. And then television. Ricky mentioned this show probably on our first or second episode. It came out on Peacock this week. I binged the whole thing this weekend, and that is Twisted Metal. Dude, every episode feels like a level of a video game. It is fun.
So good,
dude.
Man.
Oh my God. And then where it's potentially gonna go if we get a season 2. I can't like
the nostalgia factor of a Twisted Metal fan. I played Twisted Metal as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to understand how you're going to adapt that to television.
Yeah.
Because like there's no like storyline. You just go in there smashing fucking cars and like it's great.
Yeah. It's like, you know, your dystopian mixed with kind of your Fast and the Furious vibes with your, you know, your Twisted Metal, Mortal Kombat-ish vibes, and fucking Sweet Tooth, man.
He's so good. He's so good in that show, man.
I was sitting there watching it like, that's my Halloween costume. I'm Sweet
man.
Tooth. Like,
it's a banger, man.
Dude, it's so good. Every episode is like 23 to 28 minutes. Nev Campbell makes an appearance. And then Stephanie, I can't remember her last name.
Patrice.
She's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are on the fence about watching this,
please watch it.
Hop off and go watch because it's such a good time.
Do you know how hard it was to be like quiet about this show? I saw this show a month ago. I watched the show over a month ago, and I've been excited. And like the embargo wasn't until like a Wednesday before it came out. Like I've been dying to fucking talk about this movie or to the TV show because it's so good. And
it's so good.
I need people to watch it like over and over and over again. Like I'm gonna play it in my background just to make the watch minutes go up higher.
Yeah.
I want a season 2 so badly. So
and this is one of those shows too that you can't look at the like Rotten Tomatoes scores for, because I think it was at like 60 maybe when I looked.
People are
and
stupid. Get us on. Because listen, Rotten Tomatoes, get us on there. Get us Peacock. All right, Peacock. How let Rotten Tomatoes get us on there? We'll boost that score up there for you.
Yeah, because it is like, it does have depth. It does have these multiple storylines. It has everything. I mean,
this is why we listen to the audiences. 94% on the audience.
Yeah, score. See, like, yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of everything. It has a lot of familiar faces, familiar voices. Yeah, I mean, this is your perfect come home after a long day and it was a bad day. You know what? Take that on and you're gonna be like, yes.
Yeah, like Will Arnett and Samoa Joe are the perfect combination of Sweet Tooth, dude. Yeah. So good together. I love it so much.
So good.
My recommendation for the week, The Lincoln Lawyer Season 2 Part 2 comes out on Thursday. I can't say a whole lot about the Part 2 yet, obviously, because of the embargo, but what I can say is this is one of my favorite original Netflix shows that they've come out with. Obviously, I understand it's not quote-unquote original because it's based on a book, TV show, movie, whatever, or the movie with Michael McConaughey. But I love this show. And Part 2, it starts a little slow with the second part of the show. But once it gets into the courtroom, it's some of the best stuff. Some of the best like drama inside the courtroom. It reminds me of Suits, which is crazy because that's been getting like a lived on because it dropped on Netflix and everybody's been watching it. So I was a big fan of that show. But Manuel Garcia Ruffalo is absolutely just brilliant. And Yaya DaCosto, she is in the show. She plays the district attorney in that. That's opposite of Mickey Holler in that show. Love the show. Second half of the season. Really look forward to season 3 because there's one hell of a cliffhanger. The other thing that I want to mention this week that I want you guys to watch, Mark Norman Soup to Nuts on Netflix. Hilarious. It's not perfect. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but my thing is this. I am very much a dark humor guy. I love dark humor. So if that's kind of your jam in the stand-up comedy space, Mark Norman has been one of the guys that I really loved. He does a podcast, Tuesday with Stories with Joe List. Joe List, who is another hilarious comedian. There's some hilarious jokes in this. For me, it's funny because he just doesn't care. And this is where I'm hoping, like, to me, this has been one of the better years of stand-up comedy that we've seen in a long time because comedians are starting to flip the switch.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't care about this anymore. I'm going to go on the stage. I'm going to say what I want, and people are going to laugh. And the thing about it is people want to laugh.
Yeah,
you want to laugh at these things. You know what I mean? I would really like to laugh at Dave Chappelle in person, but bro, your tickets, your ticket prices, God, like.
And I saw who was it? It might have been Andrew Scholes or Whitney Cummings or one of the podcasts I listened to during the week. But they kind of had this perfect breakdown of like when you go to a comedy show, you're going to a place where we all are supposed to laugh at things that are uncomfortable, that are like hard to say, and this is the safe place to laugh at. Doesn't mean you necessarily think that way, but funny is funny. I mean, there's a book called like Funny Words Are Funny because like that's just how things are. Your brain goes to that place, but you're afraid to say things out loud. And they know the difference between punching up and punching down, and most of them is punching up. It's just bringing something to light and say, hey, it's okay that we laugh at this thing. Yes, it could be bad. I feel bad for this thing, but also let me hit you with this joke real quick, and then we can feel bad after the fact.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's why I've loved really seeing comedy get back to. I'll tell you what, there's nobody better at highlighting what stand-up comedy should be on the stage better than Whitney Cummings. You know what I mean? Like she's like her podcast, she's talked about it several times. She's one of the ones that when I first heard her say it on Kevin Hart's podcast, she's like, I don't know if somebody's going on the stage to run for office or if they're on the stage or if they're a stand-up comedian anymore. She's like, I don't want to hear, like that's the thing. I don't want to hear about your political views and stuff like that. There's certain things that I don't mind when the comedians say it, especially when it comes to like women rights and stuff like that. That sort of thing. When they're making jokes about it, then they say something about it. That's one thing.
Yeah.
On the flip side of it, it's like, you know, if you're just going to get up there and harp on this and that and this and that, like, and bringing that up, Jim Gaffigan opened his special with wearing a mask and opened it with a COVID joke. I'm so fucking over COVID jokes, bro. Just stop. Like, it almost makes you want to turn it off. To me, it does. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But speaking of which, much better special than I thought it was going to be. But that being said, we're going to tackle some of our favorite movie theater snacks. All right, so basically what we're going to do here, like we do each and every week with our random ranking stuff, this is not going to be really a ranking, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Dom, I'm going to tell him to go up to the register at the movie theater, and I'm going to tell him to order something, you know, solid, you know, popcorn, nachos, hot dog, or something like that. And I want to order a drink, and then I want him to order something sweet. What's your ideal dream scenario there when you walk up to the lady at the movie theater, and what are you ordering?
All right, so first off, I'm gonna have to pull out like $50 because we all know that it's hella expensive.
We can never order all three. You know what I mean? So right. I'll get one this time. Next time I'll get the other.
Yeah. So for me, I have to think about, okay, I don't want to drink too much because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the movie. So for my drink, I'm gonna do a medium fruit punch. I'm a fruity drink kind of guy, and then I don't need a full meal all the time. Screenings are different because that's my dinner. But if I'm going in the middle of the day and I need just a little something to hold me over until later, I'm gonna hit you with them the pretzel bites, little mustard, some of that cheese, and then I know people hate this candy so much, but I dig it, and it's Red Vines. And I know you've seen me with them a lot. Like, I got Red Vines on deck. If it's not Red Vines, it's Twizzlers, but I prefer the Red Vines. And that's what I got. I got my medium fruit punch, my pretzel bites, and my Red Vines.
You know what? I really think Red Vines are disgusting. But, but you know what? So the thing about it is, if I'm going to pull up, like I said, with what Don said, if I'm going for like a full meal, sometimes when you go to screeners, that's our dinner. You know, that's going to be our dinner tonight. So typically I've been hardcore on AMC's cheese sticks. Best cheese sticks I've ever had. Yeah. Like, there might be the best cheese sticks of like any restaurant I've ever had. You know, they're so good. Like Dom and I, we could talk. 1 week we might just dissect AMC's entire menu because there's so many good things on it. It's ridiculous. Yeah. They've got a full meal going on over there. But all right, this is an ideal order. I'm an original OG. I love the popcorn. I'm gonna go hot pop, and I want the hot popcorn with the butter layered. You gotta layer the butter.
Yeah.
You gotta layer the butter. Then I want a cherry icy. I don't really love ices like outside of the theater, but in the theater, I don't really love popcorn outside the theater either. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like one of those. It's like a 1-2 combination. And then if I want to go candy, I really love snow caps, but snow caps aren't ever in movie theaters. So I'm going to go to the peanut M&Ms. I just feel like you got the sweet, kind of sweet, salty at the same time. And then you've got the popcorn, the cherry icy. So popcorn, cherry icy, peanut M&Ms. I think it's the great combination there. Now, you know, if we were sneaking stuff in, this is a whole different conversation for you. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's fun. Like, it's crazy though. Like, sometimes when we have a screener out where we're at, guys, we go to the AMC theater and they got a full dying menu now. Big milkshakes like this big.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. The prices of it's a little high, but you get a lot of food you get a lot of bang.
Yeah, the burgers are surprisingly really fire.
Man, it's so crazy to me. Like, AMC's low-key turned into a freaking restaurant.
Yeah, they made sure that, like, hey, if you're gonna do dinner and a movie, you can just do it one place.
And they bring it right to your desk. Or right to your seat, man.
I never in my life expected to have a burger with arugula on it at a movie theater.
Exactly.
But AMC's got it.
You know, and they've got some. They have the sampler where you can get like the cheese sticks, onion rings, some boneless wings, and then those pretzel bites. Like it's just like a whole thing. It's like $17. Which I mean, if you're going for like dinner or a movie, just go to the AMC. You get the whole dinner and you get the whole
get you a beer.
Package. Right, you get a beer. You can get you get a fruity drink if you want one. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever you want. You know what I'm saying?
And look, if you go to AMC theater, I'm gonna give you a cheat code. If you're not trying to order popcorn, go to the bar that's away from the front counter, and there's never a line there. You can speed through. You can order all the food you want to, the drinks you want to. You just can't get popcorn or candy over there.
Dude, it worked. Somebody had told Dom that last time. Last time we had a screen, it's like, do that. If you don't want popcorn, just go over here. And it worked. Like no bullshit. Like you could order any, as long as you're not going for popcorn, it works. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I think it's hilarious. All right. So that being said, Dom teased it a little bit. I'm sure Dom will have a review of the Ninja Turtles out coming this week. You can check out all of his work over at geekvibesnation.com. You can check out both of us on Twitter. It'll be the link in our bio, or X, or whatever we're going to call it these days. Yeah. It'll be Twitter for the rest of the time. But yeah, so that being said, make sure to tune in next week. We'll be talking Ninja Turtles, maybe the Meg 2, maybe whatever random ass trailer Dom messages me during the week. I have to watch. I'm just glad it wasn't Saw this week, because I really don't want to watch that trailer, because I don't want to watch anything about that movie until the movie comes out. I'm so excited because there's nothing. I'm just so amped for it that I'm going to be so mad if it's bad, even after all the hype. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even the bad Saw movies, I like. You know what I mean? If there's some twisted, cool kills in it, I'm invested.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm there. I'm excited Tobin's back, though, too. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited about that. But thank you guys so much for joining us and listening to the show each and every week. We will be back same time next week. Later, alligator.